So the Nets struggled on the defensive glass in Game 1 on Saturday, and Jacques Vaughn and Cam Johnson, when asked about a post-game, both mentioned the difficulties of trying to find a body after doubling Joel Embiid and making those long rotations. Kind of just a chaotic situation where the defense gets thrown out of whack. How do you also make sure you go back and get a body on the glass? Jacques Vaughn also, though, just mentioned straight up physicality, effort, boxing out, kind of those classic things that you need to do on the glass. And when you rewatch the game, it's really just that. The Nets should have had a lot of rebounds that they didn't, and it wasn't because of the defense on Embiid. It was just because the Sixers out-hustled them, and that, as the underdog, is pretty disappointing. So let's go through and watch a lot of these offensive boards. Here, the one to keep an eye on is PJ Tucker and Cam Johnson, as it's going to be for a lot of this, at least with PJ. Cam Johnson overcommits and help. PJ sneaks behind him, offensive rebound number 1. Here, there's a switch, and Claxton does a great job on James Harden, but Mikal Bridges on Joel Embiid right here, just not continued physicality or boxing out. Just Mikal isn't really making Joel feel him down there. Joel Embiid now gets doubled, and the defense gets thrown out of whack, and Tobias ends up kind of with free range under the basket. That one you can say, okay, we were doubling, not the best double, although we'll get to that later, and Tobias can just sneak in. Although, again, the energy and activity on his end, way better than any other net down there. The next one, again, Cam Johnson talked about taking hits, whatever you have to do to be physical, gets run over by Joel Embiid trying to tag the roller, leads to a second chance for Philly. Maybe this high elbow could be called, but, Sixers out physically in the Nets again. Still early in the first, Claxton is going to do a good job not fouling here. I kind of like this ISO defense, but here's Cam and PJ, dunker spot. Just a poor box out. PJ just kind of abuses him right there. Not a lot of physicality from Johnson. Next, PJ in the corner again. Who's looking at him? Who's trying to get a body on him? Favorable bounce for Philly, but the answer is no one. And then he almost gets a second one after Royce O'Neal can't box him out on that one. So PJ was giving the Nets all sorts of problems. Here he gets another one, and this is transition. This one maybe you can chalk up to just being whatever, and maybe Mikal, instead of ball watching on this shot, should go try to find PJ, but that might be asking a lot of him here. It's not the worst thing in the world, although, yeah, maybe a better effort boxing out there could have been made. Now in the second half, Bridges just totally falls asleep on Tobias Harris. Back cut, lane to the rim, rebound. That definitely can't happen after you sit down and talk about it at half. Later, in the third, Harden, late shot clock bomb. This one's kind of whatever. Claxton does come back to rebound, but killer. Extends the lead from 7 to 10 on the second chance points. But as you can see, Harris can't box out Melton there. These aren't because of the defense against Joel Embiid. I clipped every offensive rebound I could find through the first 3.5 quarters, non-garbage time. This doesn't really have to do with Embiid. It just has to do with boxing out, effort, technique, yada yada, the cliches. But, this is a size mismatch. Read on Joe Harris, and this one Reed just grabs around Sharp, better read off the rim. No pun intended. But I would say Nets should have got these rebounds regardless of the way they were guarding Joel Embiid. For a lot of these, he's not even on the floor. The good news is that I guess, they don't have to change the defense they're playing if they don't want to for the sake of getting a board. But they do have to change their commitment and their intensity and physicality, and that is a bit disappointing to say after Game 1, considering their underdog status.